And welcome to episode number 70.
Wow. Let's
70
go.
weeks, dude.
That's
70 weeks we've been doing this.
That's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Really. It's crazy. 70. I mean, all right, so let's add in some holidays. So what, 75?
Yeah.
So we're
I'm not even sure we've missed that many.
Yeah.
I know we've missed maybe 3 or 4. I'm not even sure if we've missed 5.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It doesn't feel like it. I mean, it does in a way because you think back, oh man, our first guest, that was so long ago. But 70 weeks, man. Way to go. Way to go, Jeff. Congratulations.
Hey, way to go to you.
Nice work.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
amazing.
I got to tell you, and this is going to come out on Thursday, obviously, but we're recording it Tuesday, the morning after we had ACL Live on Monday last night, and we had some guests on, but we did not have Jeff McCarriger intros, and it was so painful not to have them. Because it was basically like me and Michelle going, and welcome, blah, blah, and it's just like right there, no build up, no nothing, just like
How
welcome
could you
to
not?
the
It's super easy to do. Just make
I
shit
know.
up.
I know. I mean, that was. I guess I probably should have done it, even though she, she's kind of the host, in that way. But anyway, should have done it, didn't do it, so it was definitely missed. And it was funny. Tanner noticed. He's like, "Man, been nice
No
to have
intro.
one of those
Wow.
Jeff intros."
Lame.
Boring.
Speaking of which, I'm a little bit tired today recording this. I really have not written one for our guest today. Not that he really needs one, but have not really written
I got
one up. But
I got to bed around 6 this morning.
You got to bed around 6?
Could not sleep.
Man, you and I were talking before we came on, and I'm telling you, we really need to do this old man podcast because it's legit, dude. The struggle is real. Like I went out on Sunday, and we didn't even go out Sunday night. We went out Sunday day, like did a little bit of day drinking.
Yeah.
And Monday was rough, and I'm still a little tired today. And you were saying that you had read something or heard like how bad alcohol is.
I mean, I love
for
it.
your body.
I think we all love it.
So much fun though.
But they say it also if you drink a little, like it doesn't allow you to get to deep REM sleep. People say, "Oh, I passed out. I was asleep for 10." Like, yeah, but you never got real sleep. That's why you can sleep for 9 hours after you've been drinking and still feel exhausted because your mind never gets all the way down.
Got it.
And that's why, I mean, I get the worst sleep, as a matter of fact, if I've been drinking. I'll fall asleep for like 3 hours, and then I'm up. And then I'm up the rest of the night. And
that's
it's the worst.
Exactly what happened to me. Exactly. And of course, I was already just exhausted because, in a good way, though. I don't mean to sound like I'm complaining because this past weekend, I got to broadcast the bridge run here in Charleston. The bridge run is just
big deal.
I don't want to bore anybody with it, but here in Charleston,
it's a fun time if you ever go down.
Yeah, used to be about 40,000 people. They had to cap it at 40,000, but post COVID, they're not quite back to those numbers. It was just shy of, I think it was like 27,500 runners.
Where does it end now?
It starts in Mount Pleasant, and it's same route that it's always. It starts over on basically just beyond Shem Creek in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
So you run over Shem Creek, down Coleman Boulevard, across the bridge, down Meeting, down King, and then back up Meeting, and that's where it finishes. But it finishes right downtown Charleston. But anyway, so I think it was like 23,000 people who finished it. But the great thing is about this is that they broadcast it live here on our ABC affiliate. So I get to sit in the back of the pace truck and literally just watch the leaders. And I mean, it's legit runners. I mean, it's a lot of Kenyans who are at the front in the elite group, and then there was about 4 or 5 Americans who were really competitive. There's actually a kid out of Clemson who was out front early. He was kind of the sacrificial lamb because the wind was just ripping. I mean, right into their face, about 15, 20 miles an hour. So the dude's his last name was Quattlebaum. So they almost kind of threw him up front just to cut the wind.
Be the rabbit.
Used him and then passed him and left him in the dust. But so much fun. But then when it finishes in downtown Charleston, and it is just, I mean, as you know, I mean, it is just a party. You get 25,000 people downtown, plus a cruise ship was in town, and it was just a party. So I already I crew call was 5 a.m. for us on Saturday because our coverage started at 6:30. So I already, and I don't know about you, I really don't sleep very well. Like when I know I've got to get up early, for some reason I really don't sleep. It's not like I'm going to go to bed at 9. I still don't go to bed until 11 or 11:30. And then I'm kind of amped up, so I don't really fall asleep till 12 or 12:30. And all of a sudden, boom, the alarm goes off at 4. I'm like, shit. So I'm already
Hey,
tired. And then
by the way,
Sunday we go drinking at the place down the road and go to the
where does it end?
farmers market.
Where does the race end? It's like
It basically ends right at TD Arena downtown Charleston.
okay, because back in the
Meeting
day,
Street.
yeah, it was a little rougher where it ended. Not quite as bad, but like so, we used to go to Vickery's or some areas on Shim Creek, kind of get the day started early with all the when everyone was getting going. That was a fun time. Shim
Vickery's
Creek,
is still
folks.
there.
Vickery's is still there. Well, I don't know.
We
I haven't
just
been
ate
there
there.
in
Just
years.
ate there last week.
We used to tear that place to the ground, Jeff, back in the day.
Oh, I believe it, Bernie. That
Shim
whole
Creek,
creek area.
Oh man, come on.
So there's a place where all the kids go now, and if you want to come to Charleston and you're in your late 20s, 30s, Saltwater Cowboys is the place to be. We just look at it from a distance, but it is just party nation. It's amazing. So we stay on the adult side over at Vickery's. But
yeah, back in the day, a buddy of mine had his little boat. Not a little boat; it was a nice little boat, and so we just bring it in on the dock, take it back around over to Isle of Palms. He had a beach house over there. His family did. We
nice.
used to have some times, my friend. We actually almost got lost in the tidal creeks one night.
Oh my gosh, that would be easy to do
as the water was going down.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were probably 15 minutes from stranding that boat, out in the middle of that pluff mud, which would have taken. I don't even know if we could have walked out.
No,
to be honest, we'd have had to wait.
Yeah, you'd have to wait for high tide.
Yep.
You'd have to wait for the tide to come back.
Oh man,
I've seen it. I've seen people get stuck out there.
So close in the like midnight. It was just so stupid.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so stupid. But we made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, go to Charleston, go to Shim Creek, experience the Bridge Run Day. That's a fun day. Man,
it is.
Every time you bring up Charleston, it kills me. But it's so different.
You guys can move here.
It's not the same place.
You can move back.
I know. It's a different place.
It's more metropolitan now. You wouldn't believe it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was little back in the day, which gave it even more charm, I think. But I don't want to be that get off my lawn old man. Back in my day. Yeah.
We'll save that for the other podcast. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man, I'm ready for it.
So are you ready for some cornhole? I mean, seriously, I know Trey wrote it in the in his preview of the National. This I mean, it's kind of cool that we're all looking forward to this with such great anticipation. But man, I mean, I was doing I was looking at the calendar just briefly. I think we're talking basically. I mean, taking the pro invitational out of it at Shamar's. If you go back to the World Championships, I mean, we're talking basically about 8 months since our last major national tournament with all the pros there. I mean, this is I can't believe it's been so long. It feels like it's been
the
forever.
Next 4 months makes up for all of that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially May and June on the road.
Yes. Speaking real quick, I did want to hit a couple things before we bring on our guests.
Mm-hmm.
So one, to your point, you always talk about there's a difference between opens and nationals, right?
Yep.
And I totally agree with you. I mean, the pressure, the amount of talent that's there, the number of games you have to play, the fact that the days are so long, all the travel. So just to back up your stat, well, two things I wanted to bring up. One, as far as your stat goes, when I was preparing for the team's broadcast, I was just doing some background on Trey Birchfield. So Trey Birchfield is now third all time in career wins, right? I mean, you've got Matt Guy, Jamie Graham, 1 and 1A, and then you've got Trey Birchfield right behind there. You may know this. Do you know how many national victories Trey Birchfield has?
Oh, you're killing me, Jeff. You're killing me.
Well, I'll just tell you. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
It's like 3, right? Or is it?
Well, it's 1. He has 1. Now he does. He does. And I don't want to minimize this because he's been great. He does have a singles and a doubles world championship. But to your point, Bernie, about stacking up all these career wins versus winning nationals. Mm-hmm. I'm just talking nationals. 1 national victory, and we are talking about one of the all-time great young. And he's not even so young anymore compared to the others. But I was shocked by that. I said to Trey, because I called Trey right away, or I texted him right away. I said, "Is this right?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude." He's like, "You need to tweet that." I didn't have time to do it. But yeah, that shocked me. 1 national win.
Put it this way.
It shows you how hard it is.
Yeah, put it this way. To make it analogous to golf, which I hate doing. But I saw an interview with Rory McIlroy talking about Tiger Woods. He went over to his house, and in the trophy room, he has his 15 major trophies, right?
Yeah.
Well, the guy's won 82 times. And so Rory was like, "So where are the other trophies?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "I think my mom has some. I think some been donated." He's like, "I have no idea. The only ones that count are those 15. And I think with a certain group in our pro division, yes, winning the opens is great, right? Obviously, you're a competitor. You want to win every time you start throwing backs. But the ones that they really, really, truly care about, and I think the shootouts are kind of getting into that realm as well, because the money. If you get to the shootout championships, you can win some real coin there. But I mean, they kind of are. It's just a giant step up. It means more.
I agree.
It just means more all the way around.
Yeah, I agree. So I was shocked by that. But then I started looking at national wins, right? And I really am going to kind of start the narrative this year on the broadcast, because we cannot minimize what Matt Guy has done, nor do I want to minimize what Jamie Graham has done. But I do think that when we are talking about these career wins, we do need to separate their national wins. I wish, I know we try to avoid this word, but I wish we could do like I looked at it. So Matt Guy has 18 career wins, tied with Jamie, but he has 11 national wins, right? Jamie Graham has 18 career titles, 7 national wins. He also has the World Singles Championship. So like do we call those majors? So can I say he has, how do I verbalize this? I
wouldn't use the word majors due to
because Matt Guy has the most significant career wins.
But I mean,
that sounds stupid. Like we need to come up with a name for these.
I mean, they're called nationals, bro. I mean, I've got another one for you.
But I think world championships should be in there as well. Like Matt Guy and Jamie both have their national wins, but they both have 2. I think they both have 2 world championships.
Absolutely. Look, I've got another one for you. You ready?
So what do we call those? How do we combine?
They're called nationals and world championships.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something more sexy though.
Look, I've got another division for you. I think, like college basketball, for example, it is an honor to make the Final Four, right? It's considered a giant thing to have in your war chest as a coach and as a player, making a Final Four. I think our broadcast should be the same way. If you make a national television broadcast, I think it speaks volumes about your play. For example, Alex Rawls last season. Seemed like he was on television every time we were at a national, right? Couldn't find a way to press all the way through, but he was always on television, probably as much as our next guest, actually. But just had a hard time finishing the deal. But I think it means something if you make a broadcast, because you've made the Final Four in essence. You've made the Final Four, and you've won your bracket. And winning your bracket at a national event is ridiculously difficult, man.
Yeah. Well, you know who rewards that? One of the bag manufacturers, Mike Hennessy.
Absolutely.
With Lucky Bags. I mean, he gets as soon as one of his guys or girls makes a national TV broadcast, they get the diamond,
the chain, baby.
Yeah,
the chain.
So it's a big deal. So I'm with you. But yeah, so I really want. I mean, so when we talk about Jamie Graham and Matt Guy, and again, I don't mean to take anything away from Jamie. You know, I love Jamie. When we talk about Guy and Graham being tied right now for first all-time in career wins. But to go back to your point about Tiger, Matt Guy is still the guy. Matt Guy is still number 1. He still has the most. I know we don't like to call them majors, but he still has the most career significant major wins in nationals and world championships. So I don't know. I think we need to bring up that narrative when we're talking about it.
I think so too. I mean, look, I've taken a lot of heat. We had to release our initial power rankings, and I did not have Matt in my top 10. And I think I told you this. Within literally, I think Trey or whoever handles our socials that day put it online. Within 5 minutes, I had Jason McCannon blowing me up on the phone, asking me if it was okay for him to apologize to the cornhole world for me. I was like, and I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, what? What did I do? But Matt Guy is the first face on Cornhole's Mount Rushmore, the very first that gets put in. And I don't think there's any question about that. So, I mean, whether he's able to maintain his status as the years go by or he becomes resurgent and takes his place back, who knows? But he is the first face on Cornhole's Mount Rushmore, for sure.
Yeah. Well, he must not have been paying attention to my power rankings, because when we did them back in Myrtle Beach, because ESPN wanted us to give ours, I also did not have Matt Guy on there, only because I'm worried about the style of play. And I'm worried about the game. I'm not worried about the game passing him by, like we've talked about with some players, but I'm worried about a different style of play, maybe not being conducive to him winning at a really high level. I think it's going to make it really difficult for him the way that everyone's able to stop the slide game now. So, speaking of which, one real quick thing, and then we got to go. We got to get to our guest. So there was a guy who listens to the podcast, posted on Facebook. You might have saw it, kind of pitting my thoughts on the game versus the guy from the Big Ass podcast, and he tried to kind of classify what I've been saying and said that I was talking about how this slower style dirty game is bad for the game. And, I've got my opinions on it, but I really don't want anyone to, and it's actually pretty good what the guy posted. I just don't want anyone to mistake what I'm saying because I truly appreciate the way that everyone's playing. And I totally understand how difficult it is to play that slower, defensive, dirty style, whatever you want to call it. And I appreciate watching it. But let's just not be closed-minded as a group and as a sport to not allow other people's opinions in, because I'll use my analogy to baseball because that's the biggest one I have. I mean, I spent over a decade in baseball, and just because we love the game, I used to sit down. We used to do a morning show in Kansas City, and George Brett would come on once a week. George Brett's a Hall of Famer. No one loves baseball more than George Brett. However, George Brett still had some concerns about the game of baseball. Some of these Hall of Famers and some of these great coaches and players that I would talk to on a daily basis were concerned about the pace of play. They were concerned about the lack of offense. So I think we can have some concerns without just throwing shade at everybody.
100%.
I'm just, and that's all I'm saying. But please don't mistake the fact that I love and I appreciate how everyone plays. And I realize, trust me, I watch it all the time. I get it. It's really difficult to play that way. And it takes a high level of skill. And I appreciate that.
Jeff, you haven't learned that it's not okay to have an opinion that is contrary to the majority of players. You haven't learned that's a bad thing yet.
Well, I'm saying it is. So, and I'm old enough to say I really don't give a shit. That's just what I'm thinking. But anyway, let's get to our guest. I've bored him long enough. So our guest today has been on before. You all know him, and now I feel like there's a ton of pressure on my intro because what you're saying earlier in the show. Yeah. But this dude, I absolutely love talking to him, and I really feel like our guest today has not only taken the sport really to another level, but the mental game. And I think you would agree, Bernie. I mean, one of the first conversations that I had with him, I said, listen, how do you handle the self-talk? How do you handle the mental challenge of the game? I said, do you get nervous? And the first thing he said to me was, no, I don't get nervous at all. When I get to that broadcast court, I've been playing all day and I deserve to be there. That's what he flat out told me. I deserve to be there. I truly feel like there is nobody more mentally tough in this game, and it has showed in his success. He just his rookie season last year with the ACL won 11 career titles. We were just talking about Jamie Graham. We're just talking about Matt Guy. They've got 18, right? I mean, two of the greats.
Yeah.
And this guy all of a sudden comes in his rookie year after learning how to play the game on YouTube. He comes into the game, wins 11 career titles, and also became the world singles champion in the ACL, the top player in the world. So please welcome back to BoarderLine, Mark Richards. What's up, Mark?
Look at him. Look how different it is now with everything in the back behind him, all the trophies. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Hey, first things first. Everything okay with the wheel, with the tire? Sounds like you and Alec had a heck of a night.
The tire's good. It was a $29 patch, 11 tire this morning. Shout out to them. So I'm back at home hanging out now.
Good. Nice. Yeah, Mark, for those of you just behind the scenes here, Mark texted me earlier this morning. He's like, by the way, Alec Ryan and I blew a tire coming home from a blind draw last night, so I got to get my tire fixed because we all need to leave in the next 48 hours to head down to Texas. So it's important to get your tire fixed. All right, Mark, let's get right to it. So, again, we were just talking about the style of play. So let's do this first. I mean, the game has evolved, right? And I think you've kind of had to evolve just in the short time you've been playing the game. So as the singles world champion and with this, slower style, defensive, dirty style, I mean, have you changed your game at all to adjust to that during the off season?
For sure. I've developed like a more of a cut and roll now, and that I feel pretty confident in throwing. I don't throw it as often as a lot of other carpet style players, but I do throw it when a conservative shot is needed rather than the airmail. And when I first started the game, there was no way that I thought that I was going to be ever throwing that kind of bag, just because I don't throw those kind of bags. And my style right away was to throw every bag in the hole. And I still do want to do that. But with the game evolving, like you said, people wanting to block on a daily basis and a game-to-game basis. I got to have different shots in my arsenal to be successful.
Mark, I got a question for you. With all your success last year and the way you kind of burst on the scene, for those in the know, it may not have been quite as instantaneous as it appeared, but yet it was, hey, who's this Mark Richards guy that's crushing the Open Series, to Mark Richards being the best player on the planet. Do you feel it probably started to happen towards the end of last season, but have you noticed and can you feel the giant target on your back? Is that palpable as you go from tournament to tournament?
I do, absolutely. Me and Phil, if we're not playing in the Open or a regional, we're going to some type of tournament, a couple hours away, and we get a lot of downtime to talk. And I told him recently, I was like, man, it feels like these games are taking forever. And he said, because everyone wants to beat you so damn bad.
Yeah,
I think it's true. So definitely.
Mark, what has your life been like? I mean, from learning to play the game on YouTube, literally, to all of a sudden taking the game by storm, and all the national TV appearances. It finally comes to an end, right? And everything slows down. I know you guys still have the blind draws you play in, local tournaments, and the Opens, but how did it change your life with all the national TV appearances and all the notoriety last year?
Yeah. Honestly, not even the blind draws and all that. It goes back to my family. 2 weeks ago, I was at my grandma and my aunt's house, and my aunt pulled out this scrapbook that I had no idea she even made, and it was very, very sentimental to me to be able to go through that scrapbook with my grandma, who's currently 96 years old, and just look back on the year I had, and same with my aunt. Just that moment right there is driving me towards the second year in the league for sure.
What was it like? How did it affect you emotionally,
Just
specifically?
Knowing what kind of effect my grandma had on me last year and how bad I wanted one for her and Shelby and my entire family, and being able to do that for her, and just she used to play softball back in the day, and she was very competitive. And to do this for her now, it feels amazing.
I love. Sorry, Brandon. I was just going to go as far as the emotion of it. I think that was one of my favorite moments of last year, was to see you all so emotional after your world championship win, because it validated, Mark, everything that you've done, all the hard work that you put in. And I'm sure there's probably a lot of people, in the background, a lot of chatter. What, really? You're playing cornhole? What do you mean you're playing cornhole? I mean, if you can just kind of talk through that emotion of that day, and I'm assuming it wasn't it validation of all the work?
No, absolutely. I think the Florida Open, my girlfriend's grandparents live in Florida, and they're only 10 minutes away. And I think before they came to the event, they probably respected it, just knowing, seeing me on TV and talking to Shelby and her parents. But after they came to the Open, they respected it a lot more after they saw it in person. And as far as validation goes at the World Championships, that was the icing on the cake. I mean, that is the Super Bowl, that is the NCAA championship. That's everything. And I had to go against Matt Guy and Jamie Cram. Are you kidding me? Like, holy smokes. I said on there, I said, I don't normally have to pull that out of my bag, and it's really hard to do. But my game plan was, I got to make these games a marathon. And one of my favorite movies, now, it is not Jumped Hoosiers, but it's right there with it. King Richard, the Williams sisters. I watch that movie about every single time we're on the plane. When they're practicing, there's a sign, and it says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And man, did I plan for that tournament and that year. Holy smokes.
Well, so you touched on something as far as like playing for your grandmother and for your family. Do you feel that having that person or persons to play for kind of takes in a weird way, kind of takes the pressure off of you, because you can get kind of wrapped up in your own head about, I've got to do this, I've got to perform this way. Well, wait a minute, here's my target, this is who I'm doing this for. Do you feel that alleviates some of the pressure you can put on yourself?
Oh my God, all of it. All of it. At the end of the day, you control what you can control. You ignore the naysayers. If things don't work out for you, you go back to the drawing board and you tell yourself, if I did everything that I could at this tournament, there's nothing I should be ashamed about.
Mark, how do you do it mentally? Seriously, like, I mean, do you ever have bad days? Like you are so strong mentally. I don't know how you do it.
For sure. No, I do. And I think really accepting, and I don't know about enjoying the process of fatigue and adversity, but you definitely can't just brush it to the side. When adversity hits, you really got to embrace it, and you really got to find ways around it.
So how do you do that? I mean, how do you stay positive?
Well, Shelby travels with me everywhere, so she's a really good sidekick and manager to have. A lot of times she'll just be like, hey, let's go outside. Like we were at Atlantic City where the boardwalk is, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And I lost a big match to, I think, Matthew Creekkiller, who ended up winning the whole dang thing. So we just went out to the boardwalk for 5 or 10 minutes. And, I verbally was frustrated. I was. And she just said, hey, we're outside. The game's over. You got to scrap it and move on. And I did. And I ended up not winning. And I got back to Creekkiller, which was awesome. But he shot amazing. All respect to him. But she helps me out a lot. Music helps me a ton. Remembering where I came from, the people behind me. So, yeah.
I want to dive back into what you said a moment ago about planning for your events. What do you do? Like, what have you been doing? What kind of plan do you have now, as we are just, well, by the time this comes out, this will come out for people to watch on Thursday night, but to listen Thursday. So maybe some people will be listening to it while we're traveling on Thursday. But what are you doing, and what have you been doing to specifically plan for this first national of the year, which you're going to start competing in here in a matter of hours?
Yeah. Physically wise, we bought a hot tub on Black Friday.
Wow.
So I've been using that a lot. And
Right
I don't treat it as like a thing I can use all the time. I only use it after I've practiced and I feel like I had a good practice. So more of just like an enjoyment thing. And then we also got one of those massage guns that I use. Yeah. So that's the physical side of it. Mentally, taking notes on a day-to-day basis. It's not like a journal, but I do write down things, how I felt that day. If I had a bad day, I definitely write something down. And just relaxing, keeping things light. We have our own house now, and we have a cat, Rudy. He's 4 months old, so enjoying time with him, keeping things light, but still staying locked in for sure.
I should have asked this as a two-part question earlier when I was asking, about the target on your back. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I think because of your season last year, you've actually affected the game in a way that you probably don't even realize. I've noticed a change in players like Devin Harbaugh. I've noticed a change in a few others where they're now finding ways to mentally prepare themselves differently than they had in the past. There's now a player on the block, you, who is so mentally tough, who is so mentally strong that those players realize, hey, I've got talent too. And I would say my talent's right there with Mark. What's separating Mark right now from me? And so I don't know if they would admit it in a way, but I think, I've had a couple of interviews with some of these guys. I think you've actually changed a mindset among the top players. It's not just, hey, let's go get hammered, for 3 straight days. I mean, everyone's still having a good time, but I think you're seeing some of the top players say, hey, I've got to refocus myself. I've got to be as committed and as focused as that guy is, or he's going to leave me behind. Do you feel that? I mean, I know you don't want to be, bad magnanimous about yourself, but do you feel you've had that kind of impact on the game?
I'm not really. I would say some of my success last year came from luck. I definitely got some luck on my side for the the nationals, but definitely not the shootouts on the single side. So a lot of it has to do with luck for sure, day-to-day basis. But there's a lot of strong players in this league, mentally and physically, and I know they're putting in work as well. So there's so many players that are going to be ready to go for national number one.
I think it's so amazing to me to have these conversations, because this is now the 70th podcast that we've done. So we do this once a week, taking a couple of weeks off. So just in the last 74, 75 weeks, the conversations that we have had with people like you, Mark, these conversations have grown exponentially. And I think back to some of my first conversations I had with players in my first year back during COVID 2020. And Mark, this is becoming a real sport. Like, this is for real now. Like, you've got the pump gun, right? Just like we see on the sidelines with the players. Players are scouting other players. I mentioned this on a different broadcast. I was talking to Jackson Gore. How old is Jack, Bernie?
13,
15?
I believe. 13.
Okay, 14, 15 years old. He's watching video on himself to learn about his game. So we've got video scouting. We've got exercising. We've got dietary things that people are doing now in the game. The mental toughness. Like, this is becoming a real sport. And it feels like, to Bernie's point, you were kind of one of the guys that kind of want to take the sport to another level. Is that true?
No, absolutely. Like I said, like the thing I brought up earlier with my girlfriend's grandparents, until you physically see it, in real life for yourself, you may not have the same respect. But I think, on our ESPN broadcast and CBS Sport broadcast, I don't know how that can't legitimize the sport. And it's a great way. Like, I said in the past that I don't like intramurals. Once you're done with high school sports, and if you're not a college athlete, this is a great hobby or career or whatever you want to call it to get into.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself on TV and say, "Man, I shouldn't have worn that," or "Geez, wow, I got to cut my hair," or "Man, I hated that hat"? Like, did you ever see yourself on TV? Sometimes you're like, "Damn, I shouldn't have done that."
Oh, babyface assassin last year. Holy shit! Got to grow this bad boy out in the off season.
It's true though. Like, Jeff, I can't watch. Like, I don't think I've seen that many BoarderLine episodes, because I get kind of freaked out by seeing myself on screen. So, do you get like that? Because I look up and I hear my voice and I literally cringe. I mean, I feel this thing go up my spine. Like, look at that jackass, right? Like, do you ever feel like, oh my God, look? Or are you like, hell yeah, check me out? That's national television right there.
I don't watch myself too much. I watched the World Singles a couple times. But you know what? I'd probably say the same thing. I really don't like watching myself too much. There are a few players that I really like. If anytime they're on a live stream on Facebook or, a rerun on ESPN comes up, I'm like, I'm watching this, because there are a multiple number of players that I love watching.
The perfect transition, because like
Yes.
I told you when I emailed you yesterday, I actually wanted to ask you that. Like, who do you like to watch? Like who's somebody's game that, like you were just talking about, that you really, it's like must see. You've got to watch them play.
Top three would probably be, in no specific order, definitely Jamie. Love watching Jamie. His pace is second to none. I think, I don't know if it was exactly him, but I probably did develop the one bag at a time from Jamie, just because it looks very crisp and he looks very thorough when he's throwing the bag. So definitely Jamie. Probably like a Ryan Wiedenfield / Alex Hicks. I still am a fan of the game for sure. So watching a dirty style game, that's a lot of fun to watch. And then third, I would probably have to say probably like a Cheyenne or like a Tyler Poitras, going back to my roots and just staying hole for hole, kind of like they like to do.
Do you all right? Only because you brought it up. I've actually talked about this, Mark. I know you don't listen to the podcast every week, but I've talked about this. Like, I want to make sure you're a huge sports fan, right? So in football they've changed the rules for more offense. In basketball, this better than anybody. They've changed the rules so that you can get more offense in basketball. In baseball now, they're increasing the pace of play. They want more offense. Do you worry at all about the game and the future of it and the watchability of it, because it's becoming so defensive?
Do I worry about it in like what way?
Like my point has been, like, I love the offensive game. I love the hole for hole. Back in 2020, it was so exciting. I bring up the example all the time. We'd see somebody shoot 24, 28, 30 bags in a row, something like that. And then all of a sudden you'd see a block, right? But they would go hole for a while. And it was so exciting to watch because people love watching two things. They love watching greatness and they love watching offense. And now the game has become very tactical, right?
Yeah.
And it's so, and I get it. It's very difficult to do, but I wonder sometimes if that's necessarily what people are going to want to watch because we're such an offensive driven and minded, viewing population.
Yeah, especially the average sports fan, right, Jeff?
Yeah,
that's who we really,
viewers. Yeah,
that's who we really want to get in because we know the cornhole people. They know the game. They love that dirty aspect, the defensive aspect of it. But to Jeff's point, and he's made it clear, and I think he's made it concise and actually very well. The average sports fan who's flipping through on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, who gets kind of drawn in, do they want to see a block in behind, a missed airmail, because to them that looks like, wow, I mean, I can do that in my backyard, right?
Right.
And so to Jeff's point, does that worry you?
So
as a sports fan,
as a sports fan,
we were at a tournament this weekend, and Phil, we weren't at a tournament. It was yesterday. Me, Phil, and Alec were practicing at the gym, and I was kind of watching behind the scenes. And Alec had said, "Oh, he's at 24 in a row." And that got kind of on the top of the 36 in a row. And in my mind, I was thinking, man, that was probably pretty boring to some people. But at the same time, we got so much diversity in the game. You had Creek Killer win that national in Atlantic City, but then, I did the thing in Chicago. You're getting both sides of the game, at different times where I think the backyard style of play, if three of us were to go to a backyard right now and throw against some random guys and we didn't put a bag in the hole,
they freak out.
I think we suck.
Right.
Every bag's got to be in the hole.
Exactly.
Right.
And they don't understand, like, okay, you just push my bag in. Woohoo! Like I won. No. I think there's both sides, and I think we do have enough diversity in the league from the dirty style to the throw every single bag in the hole. So it may, for some reason, if like all of the slick side players got weeded out for some reason and it just moved to dirty style, I don't know which way that would affect the game. But I think what we have right now, I don't see it affecting anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, the best of it is, and Bernie's talked about this, is getting a 5-tool pitcher, right? Like it sounds like you're trying to become, Mark, to where you have 5 pitches, right? So you can do it all. If you have to play that tactical type of dirty bag defensive style, you can do it and be great at it. If you need to go hole for hole, you can do that too. Like, and on a smaller scale, we haven't seen him yet on a national side, but what's his name? Zach Shibner. I saw him down in Myrtle Beach, and I thought again, small sample size. I get it. I've only seen him live one time, but he seemed to be kind of a 5-tool kind of guy where he could make the adjustments and play different style games. I mean, I guess that's probably where y'all are going to need to get for the future so that you can play all those sides. So I'm assuming that's probably one of the reasons why you've had to change your game a little bit in the off season.
Most definitely. I think a pro to Alex Rawls living in Florida, because he is, in my opinion, he is one of the best 5-tool guys out there. Like you're saying,
yeah, he's great.
He rolls the heck out of the bag. He cuts it. He can put it in the hole. He can block. He's always around the hole. He has every single shot he can throw all the time. And I think one of the perks for him living in Florida is he's at Fisher Hamilton's house every single day. Okay. And for me living in Indiana, Phil's the closest pro to me, as well as Tony Mayball. And I'm really only seeing, like, yeah, they can throw a block, but they want to practice what's best for their game. And what's best for their game, I think they would say, is going hole for hole. So I don't see much of that. Now, a pro was with Alex staying with me the last 2 days. Yesterday, I was able to see more of a block style and play against that, which hopefully will benefit me. So, it's kind of who you're able to play against on a consistent basis that helps that too.
Great point.
100%. I mean, to your point, I mean, I think that's why the Southeastern Conference, essentially all the Florida folks, I mean, you have the Carolinas region, you have that, the Ohio region, where you've got so many players around each other all the time, just making each other better and better, which actually makes your rise that much more impressive, quite frankly, because you didn't have you can't go on your Monday blind draw at whatever bar and find 10 other pros in the building to challenge you, right? Like some of the folks do down in Florida, they'll go to their local blind draw and there might be 13 pros in that building.
Good point.
And that's, what's the phrase, Jeff? Iron sharpens steel, or iron sharpens iron. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that matters. And so kudos to you for being able to not have all of that iron around you and still get your game to a certain level. But I think it definitely helps when, like you're saying with Alex and with a few other players, just being able to grind it out against people that they know are so good already. It can do nothing but help your game. It can't hurt your game.
Absolutely.
Hey, Mark, on a personal level, are you still working? Are you still teaching?
Absolutely. 3-minute drive every day, back and forth.
Right on.
Three?
That's living right there.
That is awesome. Are you on spring break? That how do you get time off? Like I've talked to Nate Boyer about this because he teaches out in Sacramento. It's not real easy for you guys sometimes.
Yeah, this is spring break week for us. So couldn't have worked out perfect. Better, but I work at a very small school. The average class size is probably between 15 and 30 per grade. So that's really small. So they understand how serious I take it. If I'm not in the gym at least a couple hours every day, something's wrong. So they understand what I do, and I made it clear of what I was going after with the staff members before the year started, and they were fully on board. And I'm able to get the days off that I need to in order to travel. So it's a two-way system, and it works out really well.
So what's your day like then? How much do you practice every day? And did you take any time off this past off season or no?
Shoot, no, no time off with the players that we got in the league. Absolutely not.
So do you practice every day? I mean, do you work out? Like, what do you do? What do you do to get ready?
Every day. I'm very happy to say that I did practice every single day, no matter if it was for 45 minutes or 4 hours. I was able to throw every day. I get a prep that's attached to my lunch. That's an hour and 30 minutes during the day. I've went in before school. I've went after school. And what's really cool is I actually share a room with the social studies teacher, and I coached with him for a couple of years when I was still coaching. And we have the same interest, college basketball, and he has actually now gotten to cornhole, and he's actually pretty good. He would say he's not very good, but he's actually pretty good. And he understands it, and he kind of wants to almost like follow in my steps, but very slowly. It's really cool, and to be able to talk with him now about that, it's been really fun.
Yeah, Mark, thinking of your practice, are you the kind of guy that just throws bags, or are you situational? And what I mean by that, you'll see some people that are just kind of practicing getting their arm motion down, honing in how the shots feel, and then some people are putting bags on the board and practicing situational shots. Like where do you fall in that mix?
I will never actually put a bag on the board and then do whatever I need to do around it. I will always physically throw the bag. What I like to do, it's pretty simple. Just number one, really just try to throw every single bag in the hole. But number two, I do get 2 sets, and I'll alternate, and I'll play to 21, or I'll do a shootout format. And the number one thing is you really just got to make sure that, like, if I miss my black bag, the blue bag that I'm going to throw next, well, I can't miss that one. Like, I got to put it in the hole. So, like, just kind of refreshing your mind after each bag on both sides is really important. But that's just a small thing that I do. I really don't get too picky, and I keep it simple.
One more quick question. Does being left-handed have any effect in the game for you at all? Do you see an advantage, disadvantage, or it doesn't matter either way? Because your angle of attack is different than most of the people you're playing against. So the way you're coming into the board is different. I just didn't know if you felt you had an advantage or it just didn't really matter at all.
Maybe bully situations. bullying bags off the hole. I guess that could come into place. Other than that, I really don't see. Maybe me, like if I'm playing against like a Adam Hisner or a Kyle Malone, a standstill player, and I'm on the inside of the board with my left hand, maybe my arm swing being closer to them would have some effect. Probably not, but I don't really see too many benefits or disadvantages for it.
All right, Mark, only a couple minutes left. So a couple questions for you real quick. You mentioned bags. How's the bag change been? I mean, a huge pickup for Mike Hennessy and for Lucky Bags. So they signed you guys. Man, it seems like it was forever ago when I saw that, and I remember tweeting about it. I mean, a huge move for you and for him. So how's the bag change been in that relationship?
Oh, dream come true. That was the bag that I used when I made a good run. And when I qualified with those bags, the snipers. And I obviously didn't throw in my rookie year, but the day that I signed the contract and knew that I was on Lucky Bags, I knew I was with a company that cares about their players, and they designed quality bags that's going to give players an opportunity for success. And I couldn't be happier. Like I said, this was a dream come true. This was always a bag company that I wanted to be a part of, and now that I am, it's go time for sure.
Any adjustment period that you had to go through to get used to the new style, and how long did that take?
For sure, they're probably a little slower than the bags I was throwing last year. So there's a slogan that me and Phil used last year every time we would baby a bag, and I'm not going to say it, but I tell myself that a few times in the adjustment period. But now. They feel great. I'm very confident with the bag. Definitely gonna have to be on my A game because in the past the boards have been on the slower side. But I'm confident with them. They feel good.
All right, real quick, and then we let you go. So, what was the biggest thing that you learned last year, throughout your whole year, and the biggest challenge that you think you're going to face this year?
Just to stay humble. Accept your wins like your losses. Like I said, if you can tell yourself at the end of the day that you did your best and you just got outbeat, there's nothing else that you can do except tip your cap and move on. Biggest obstacle or challenge I'm going to face this year, I like you said, I got a target on my back. A bunch of red hot players who are gonna want to beat the crap out of me. And I did nothing wrong. I'm a nice guy. I promise. Probably that, simply put.
Yeah. All right, Mark. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Can't wait to see you down in Texas. Can't wait to finally get to our first national. Seems like it's been forever, but congratulations again on the great success, great rookie year, and we will see you down in Texas here soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having
me.
Good
luck, Mark.
All right, Mark. Thanks. All right, I just cannot wait to watch this.
I know, man. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah, and I think because it's taking later to get to or longer to get to, it's kind of added to the anticipation for the first national.
Can do it again? Can he do it again?
I don't know if he can have that kind of season again. I mean, it would be truly something special if he was able to have 3/4 of that season again. So to be able to have
size, that, I think we've got 15 seconds. We've got a small sample size. I haven't seen it done. I haven't seen somebody really go back to back. Have you?
No,
is it possible?
I
know Matt Guy's great, but we're not seeing like a dynasty yet.
Yeah, I just don't see it being that good. I mean, he's still going to be Mark Richards, and he's still going to be one of the best in the world. That was just truly a special season. I can't see that again.
He might be able to. Who knows? I don't know.
I mean, who knows?
To watch.
Absolutely.
All right, bud. Safe travels. I will see you soon down here in the Lone
See you in a couple of days.
All right, brother. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.